Glennon, former starter for State at quarterback. He and I host a podcast called Pack Therapy, which you can find anywhere podcasts are found. You can also find it on our YouTube page at 99.9 The Fan, where we dive deep into state football. There will be previews of each game, guests that'll help us break down the opponents. The biggest news, the biggest questions will all be handled on Pack Therapy. And episode 1 was released, I should say. It's out now. As of midnight this morning. So check it out. It's an offense preview, all offense. It's a fun one. We had a good time with it, and I wanted to highlight some of the things that Mike said on that podcast. But if you want the full conversation, again, go check out Pack Therapy. Mike, one of the first things I asked him, and it's one of the first questions that need to be asked about NC State is, especially when you're looking at the offense, is what happened last year? Right, because their defense, which we'll get to next week on the pod, was, I should say, number 1 in the ACC. Right, when you rank all of the ACC teams and fewest points allowed, the Wolfpack defense came out number 1. So you look at the offense and you say, what happened? Here's Mike's answer to that question.
I think it all started with the quarterback position. Devin Leary comes in with very high expectations and honestly wasn't quite living up to him, and then he had an injury. And then that's when the carousel of quarterbacks started happening. It was Jack Chambers, then it was MJ Morris, then it was Ben Finley. I mean, we saw them all, and to their credit, MJ Morris did a great job stepping in and looked like, at the time, we thought it was going to turn to him this year. Ben Finley comes in against Carolina, has a great victory, and then there's a quarterback up in Charlottesville at this time. It's just crazy, this new era of college football, what it is. And now incepts Brennan Armstrong, who transfers here for his 6th year of college football. And anytime you bring in a quarterback in his 6th year, he's going to be the guy. And I know NC State fans are excited about MJ Morris, but I really think this could be the best thing that happens for him.
It's all about the quarterback. That's It's hilarious because what is the cliche about football? It's the ultimate team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. You need all 11 guys on offense, all 11 guys on defense. You need special teams. You need the backups. It's the ultimate team sport. And yet so often it comes down to, let's look at the quarterback position. Last year, injuries, as you heard Mike say, Devin Leary wasn't really living up to the hype. Granted, the hype was very high going into the season. Kind of the way I've been describing it is at this time last year, Devin Leary was kind of Drake May.
Correct.
Maybe a little bit less pro hype, but he was the preseason ACC player of the year. He had the NFL arm. Everybody was drooling over his physical tools. That's what's happening with Drake May right now. That was Devin Leary last year. So when that doesn't happen, meaning when that kind of hype is put out there, even if he's playing solid, if unspectacular, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit, right? It's like, wait, I thought you were Superman. That's not how this is supposed to go. And then on top of that, you kind of, bing, 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 bing through a whole bunch of quarterbacks rather than just that one. It's tough. So Brennan Armstrong, I don't think the expectations are as high, so it won't be as much of a momentum killer if he doesn't exceed. Or doesn't succeed at a tremendous level, if he's more solid than spectacular. And then on top of that, he can be more stable, right? Give me 11 games at least of one quarterback starting for NC State, and who knows how last year even turns out. The question is, or the concern is, whoever's at quarterback, are the wide receivers going to be enough to support them, right? Give them the playmaking they need because, all right, Devin Carter's gone, Thayer Thomas gone for different reasons, and there's a little bit, I would say, a little bit of experience lacking at the wide receiver position. I asked Mike if he was concerned about that.
I feel confident that they're going to be true competitors in ACC, but if they want to get into that final stretch where they're fighting for an ACC championship at the end of the year when we're in late November, one of these receivers is going to have to step up and become the guy. Right now, they have a bunch of quality ACC players, but there's going to have to be one of these guys. You mentioned Keon Lassane. Is it Porter Rooks? Is it Trent Penix, the tight end? One of these guys is going to have to step up and become that true go-to receiver that they've had in years past in Emeka Emezi and Therick Thomas and Devin Carter. When it's 3rd and 5 and the game is on the line, everyone in the stadium knows the ball is going to this guy. He's going to make the play one-on-one. And right now, none of these guys have shown to be that one.
Again, that's a clip from Pack Therapy, the podcast. Check it out. Out now, first episode of the season, talking state football with myself and Mike Lennon. That was Mike Lennon. I thought that was interesting, saying that they needed the number one. One of these guys had to step up and be a number one when Brennan Armstrong's kind of his I don't know, his the way he got it done when he was at his best at UVA wasn't necessarily having one guy that they schemed open and forced it to or made plays individually. It was when they had 4 or 5 guys that were all capable of, between 600 and 1,000 yards, and he was spreading it out. And it truly was like on 3rd down, who's going to get the ball? Well, the defense is going to tell me who gets the ball, right? The one that is the most open, the one that can find a hole in the defense. So, and that's, by the way Robert Anae's offense worked then. Now, Robert Anae, as the offensive coordinator, who was with Brennan Armstrong at UVA and is now at State, his offense is multiple, meaning it can be a bunch of different things. So, don't get me wrong. If one of those guys wants to become Marvin Harrison Jr., if they want to become a number one, force them the ball, right? Scheme them open, have them beat double teams, do all those sorts of things. But if none of them develop into a true number one, at least not this year, right? There's some youth. Casey Concepcion, the true freshman who got to campus a little early, might have some of those abilities, but he might not be ready to be a number one right now. I think it's okay for this offense to focus on, let's get 4 or 5 guys ready, 4 or 5 guys out there in the route, including Jordan Houston, including Trent Penix, including some receivers, and let Brennan Armstrong distribute.
And this is the year to do it. I feel with NC State fans, they've gotten kind of spoiled each season because they've had veteran players return. I mean, think about how long Devin Carter and Therick Thomas were there, 2 of the guys that they're going to have to replace this season. But you bring up a good point. There's a lot of young players that are coming to this team this year. They do have Trent Penix coming back, who I would like to see get involved a lot more. I feel like
and stay healthy.
I feel like NC State's been lacking a true tight end threat the past couple of seasons. So, yeah, this is a great time for NC State to kind of dish it out to multiple players, especially with this Robert Anae offense coming in this year.
And finally, because we had to have some fun, at the end of the pod, we talked about the improvements coming to PNC Arena and also the area surrounding PNC Arena and Carter Finley Stadium. And we talked about the 3,000 to 5,000 seat music venue that is on the way. And I mentioned to Mike that we've talked with some of the planners, and they mentioned that with this music venue, you can now have a concert on the same day as a Canes game or on the same day as a Wolfpack football game. So I asked Mike, I said, hey, you get to be a tailgater now, right? You're not a player running out there into Carter Finley. You get to pick the lineup. You get to pick the musician for an afternoon concert when there's a night game coming up in Carter Finley. Who are you choosing? This was Mike's answer.
I mean, the first person that comes to mind is the Garner native, the NC State guy, Scotty McCreery. I mean,
of course.
I don't think we could go wrong with that. I think that'd be a great way to kick off, a game, is go see a little Scotty perform a little and then walk, a few hundred yards over to your tailgate spot and then head into the game. That's what you mentioned, is that there's, more possibilities of things to do like that. When I played for the Jaguars, they actually have a small amphitheater attached to the stadium, which is attached to the indoor facility. And there would be events there pretty often that we would see them setting up for. So I think the opportunities are endless of what they can turn this into.
How about it? Scotty McCreery? I feel like he's got to be the inaugural, but then you can get a little bit more creative, right?
Get Jake Owens back.
Jake Owen. He could fill a 3,000 to 5,000 seat stadium. I think Scotty should be the first. He should kind of do the ribbon cutting because he's such a state guy. But after that, I want to see throw a rock band, throw a hip hop artist, throw a country artist, like mix it up all day leading up to a big game at night. I think it could be a really cool atmosphere.